Hello and welcome to a new episode of Foodocracy for Her. I'm Kalyan Karmakar in Mumbai, and today I'm going to zoom you all the way to Chennai. And joining us is Joyadrita, which is the Bengali way of pronouncing her name, Joyadrita, which would be the equivalent of if you're calling me Kollan. But now it's become more Kalyan, and similarly, I think everyone knows Joyadrita as Joy. And welcome on board. So Joyadrita is a home chef. She was not always a home chef. She's made this career shift. So we are going to understand a bit about that experience. And she's in Chennai, where she's doing Bengali food. So it's also going to be interesting from that point of view also that when you're in a city which is different from yours and a culture different from yours, then how to sort of build a brand around your own food cuisine where there might be very little awareness. So beyond that, let's hear it straight from Joy. So welcome on board, Joy. And
Hi, sir.
thank you,
Hi,
thank you.
sir. Thank you.
Call me
Yeah.
Kollan or something, or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah. Hi.
otherwise,
Hi.
I'll think I'm in
Hi.
school. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Hi, Kalyan. Yeah. I'll
So
call you Kalyan just as everyone knows you.
yes, yes. Huh. So I had a lot of friends when I was growing up in Calcutta. Their nicknames were Joy. Most of the cases they were boys. So there's Joy Dev,
Boy.
who was Joy. Then there was
Yeah.
Anirban. So there was no connection, of course, with his nickname, but his
Correct.
nickname was Joy. So yes. So are you a Calcutta girl or where have you grown up?
I'm absolutely a Calcutta girl, born and brought up. So
Huh.
I was born in Calcutta, and then since my father he used to work for Bama Lorry, so he had
Oh.
a transferable job. So
Huh.
I was barely two or something when he was transferred to Delhi, and not
Oh.
proper Delhi. We were in Noida then.
Noida.
So back then, Noida, I'm
Yes.
talking about 90s. So
Yes.
back then, Noida was really empty. So
Yes.
and
Yes.
so that is how I started my schooling there. And after that, we came to Chennai for a year, and post which back to Calcutta. So Calcutta has been an integral part of my growing up years.
So college and everything was in Calcutta? College, high school?
Yes,
Okay.
college, job, everything.
So which part of Calcutta are you from? South, north?
I am from South Calcutta. So to be precise, I stay in Vaishnav Bhatta, which is very close to Boria.
Yes, I know Vaishnav Ghata because I stay in that sort of thing, bus journey. So there was a
Yes,
Vaishnav Ghata minibus,
yes,
which we
yes.
used to. I think it crosses bus journey and goes right. The Vaishnav Ghata minibus.
Vaishnav Bhatta, that is like Baldarani is the 6 number route as they call
So Vaishnav
from
Ghata is the same route.
5 number. No,
Pass
it,
number.
it
So
goes
it's a
it goes through
Ramgarh,
Jadavpur. Jadavpur.
Ramgarh, Jadavpur,
Rampur.
Gaudiya
Right,
thing.
right.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
Baldarani is memorable because after marriage we settled in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was
Wow.
very close to, I think, I think we have had this conversation before. I
Huh,
asked you, looking
huh.
at your posts,
Bajrani
when
Bajar,
you, yes,
the
you
market
used to talk
pictures.
about your Didu. So
Yes,
we
yes.
stayed very close by.
Oh wow. So I've been there from '84, like till I
Oh,
moved out. Wow, how
right.
nice.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Chennai when? Or how long
Chennai,
have you?
recently the move you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the first move from Calcutta was post my daughter. I mean, when she was 1, we moved to Mumbai. So
Yeah, yeah.
husband was, my
Yeah.
husband was working for Reliance. So we
Hmm.
stayed in Navi Mumbai, Kharghar,
Yes, yes.
and we stayed there for almost close to 5 years.
Ah,
And then 2019 we came to Chennai, and so it's 2 years now, precisely exact 2 years now.
wow. So Kharghar is where so there are many food connections. So Kharghar is where, of course, our friends Kurush and Ria stay.
Yes,
And
yes.
and I was wearing this shirt because there's fish, and I'm going to talk to a Bengali. And then I
Yes.
realized that last week when I was speaking to my friend Konishko in
Huh.
Calcutta about Poila Boishak, I was wearing the same shirt.
Right.
Konishko stays around Ramgarh, so which is your pass number
Yes. I
route.
think he stays in West Wind or something, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
I have I have my relatives staying there.
I've stayed at their place also a few
Okay.
times when visiting Calcutta. So, were you always interested in food?
Oh yes, oh yes. Like I've been a foodie like since child, like I used to be that exemplary kid whom all parents used to say, "Dako, eke deke sheko, a shop high." So I used to sit in the center the moment food was placed. You can
Oh.
already see my face when I see food, and when I talk about food, it lights up. So yeah, food has been
Yeah.
an integral part.
So for people who didn't understand that, she was as a kid, and she would be the one who'd eat with without making a fuss. So everyone would tell their kids that, look at her and see. And then when you're telling this, I was thinking of my two cats, Baby Loaf and Nimki. So when it's Nimki, who's a kitten, I don't have to think a second thought. I put the food, and he'll finish it. And the elder one, Baby Loaf, he's so fussy. He's like me. So,
Uh,
only যদি পছন্দ হয়, if he likes the stuff, will he eat?
right.
Otherwise, he'll go off and then he'll be low feet, low feet, low feet. And meanwhile, Dimki has finished his food and then he's waiting, okay, saying, is he not finishing? Then I'll finish it. So,
You know, one memory. It's a very small one which I want to share, just to prove my love for food. So I think I was just barely 4 or 5. I think we had a family trip to Lucknow, and like when Bengalis go to Lucknow, they will have biryani. So I
yes, of
remember
course.
we were at some particular restaurant. I don't remember where,
Huh.
and I remember my dad telling the waiter that. One half plate biryani. And the moment I heard half, because I was a kid, I banged my head on the table. I said, no half, I want full. So it's that bad.
And Lucknow does have the tradition of half plate and full plate. And I know what you
Yes.
mean because, a few years back when I went to Lucknow, I've been to Lucknow in the early years of my career also. But when I went there, after I started food writing, I went on a biryani discovery mission because it says that the Lucknow biryani has influenced Calcutta.
Right.
So I went to Wahed. I went to क्या है? Lalla Ji for the biryani, and then I went to Idris in a later trip.
Wow.
Tell me about some of your fond food memories from Calcutta when you were growing up.
Um, so Calcutta, when I was growing up, so I was part of a joint family. We had almost 13 to 15 members in our house.
In the same house.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And there was just one kitchen, and I was the only child. So all these members were mostly like, elderly people. As in, like, I had my grandparents, so I grew up amongst them. And my grandfather had his widow sisters and their children. So whosoever, unfortunately, used to lose their husband, he used to bring them home and bring up the
Wow.
children.
Wow.
So, I have grown in that atmosphere. So, whenever food used to be cooked, as a child, I was never given an option to say a no. Like, there was a rule. My grandmother she was very loving and she was an amazing cook.
So
And
this is parental, like Thakurda Thakuma or
yes,
Dadu Didi.
my paternal, yes,
So
paternal one.
Thakurda Thakuma. Yes.
Absolutely, like, and she was an amazing cook. So in Bengali cooking, generally they say, if a lady or whosoever, like I wouldn't say specifically lady, but whosoever cooks vegetarian food really well, and
Huh.
Bengali vegetarian food is without onion garlic, so they are
Huh.
considered to be really good cook. Because for non-veg you can just put in something and
Yeah.
you can really make a nice dish.
Yeah. It's
So
like if I use a cricketing analogy, the reason why Sunil Gavaskar was looked up to was that he did so well in the bouncy tracks of West Indies, or Ganguly is looked up to because so many of his wins have happened in
absolutely,
away
absolutely,
outside of India. Thing. So India mein to
absolutely.
theek hai, it's like cooking katla and mangsho, but
Right, right. And
yes.
and to be very honest, mangsho or meat was never part of our family because we belong to a Vaishnav family.
Hmm.
So my
Vaishnav.
grandparents were yeah. So my
Hmm.
grandparents were followers of Lord Vishnu. So we really had very strict measures to be taken when we used to cook fish. So fish was primarily something that was cooked, and mostly it was cooked at night because that was the
Oh.
time. Yeah, that was the time all the male members used to come back from work.
So it'll be
So
fresh. Yes.
yes, so it used to be cooked then,
And
and
fish has to be had fresh.
absolutely, and all this used to happen on a clay oven. So the
Oh.
gas never got used when fish was being cooked. So
Like
like
the unon. Like the
yes, unon,
unon.
yes, unon, and that was made by my grandmother. So like when you talk about fond memories of food. Name it all. Like I love nimbegun, uche to dalna, kalia. anything and
And
everything.
hold on, did you say that your Thakuma, your grandma, used to make the unon,
Yes,
the
yes,
oven,
yes,
the
yes,
wow? And
yes.
how often would she have to do that? Like
She
in
would
what
she
frequency?
would do it. I had seen like she would take at least 2 to 3 days to make it, and then once after it was after a prolonged usage, there used to be cracks which used to develop.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
again, she used to remake.
So how
So
much? Like 6 months, 3 months, a year, two
yeah,
years? How,
maybe 3 months, 3 months or
every
three
three
to
months
six
she'll
months.
make it.
Yes, and she was like amazing in that. It was
That must have been really fascinating seeing her make the unon. And
absolutely, absolutely.
so, is it fair to say that the kitchen was one place in the house which was really of interest to you? And would we see a young Joy or a little Joy often in the kitchen?
Um, yeah, like in the initial years, it would be primarily to eat. No ways, nothing to do with cooking at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And let me tell you something. I was a disastrous cook to begin with. Like
What age was that? When did you first try experimenting with
Um,
food, cooking?
I started experimenting when I was in class 8 or 9. I remember
Huh. That
we
is
used to
roughly
get
the
this
time when Bengalis are allowed. Eight
correct.
or nine is like, 15, 16 or,
Yeah,
14, 15. Yeah.
and
Because before that, Bengali kids are not allowed to cook.
not really.
পড়াশোনা
And
করো, পড়াশোনা করো.
exactly, I mean, unfortunately, like today, if my daughter wants to really go ahead and make a pizza or anything that she wants,
Yeah.
I won't hesitate. I'm like, okay, I will like do it. But in our time, it was like a taboo. Go and
No, and
study.
also remember that one of the fears which also they had was with the open flame. Pizza and a lot of stuff
Correct,
not kidded. Today's kids will also do,
correct.
do in the microwave, oven or whatever.
And there is also no gas cooking.
Induction.
Yeah, yeah. So many
Yes,
things they have, right?
yes. So
So
when you were in your teens is when you first experimented
yes,
in the kitchen.
and primarily, the interest started from this newspaper, the Telegraph, which we used to
Uh-huh.
take, and that
Huh.
Sunday edition of Graffiti used to feature Rakhi Purnima Dasgupta,
Huh.
and
The co-owner of what's
uh,
the place? What's the place?
uh,
What's happened to me?
I'll tell you,
QPs. QP.
QPs, yes,
What's
QP.
happened to me?
So
I should have more
yeah,
tea.
yeah. So I remember she used to share 2 recipes every Sunday, and that was the first trial that I did. And I had two perennial guinea pigs in my house. It was my dad and it was my sister. So they were the ones. And my dad is a person of very few words, so he'll not try to say something bad. But at the same time, even if it is disastrous, like he'll say, "Okay, you can try.
Hmm.
Like next time you can try." So
So
yeah.
Bengali.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
In a Bengali, those black and white films, the father would always be a man of few words. Bikash Rai,
Ah,
Chobi Vishwas, or Uttam Kumar in his older days. Then
right,
you'd be the elder brother. Yeah,
right.
a man of few words.
Yes.
Pahari
So,
Sharnal. Yes.
so I started off as a very very bad cook. Once I remember I started flipping an omelette like how they do it in on television, and it went and stuck on the ceiling, and it was
You're
very bad.
joking. You're
No, I'm
exaggerating.
serious. I'm
It
serious.
actually went to the.
It actually
That
went.
sounds like a Tom and Jerry moment.
It actually went. I wish we had those like we had mobiles then so that we could record it. And my sister was really tiny and she was like looking. And thankfully, mom was not at home, so we really had to chip in and all that. Bad
But
it
I know,
was.
what you're saying about recipe book
Huh.
resonated with me because I remember one of the first proper dishes I had made
Hmm.
was I was studying for my MBA in Calcutta in the second year, and
Right.
there was this book on advertising written by a Bengali gentleman, Mr. Sengupta, if I remember right. So over there, he had put a picture of a Prestige or a Hawkins pressure cooker ad to make
Right.
a point in a case study. So
Yeah.
that ad had, the pressure cooker and the recipe of a chicken curry. So I think he
Right.
was probably trying to say that, how to build a story around the brand or whatever. So I saw that recipe and, I was very frazzled studying for my second year, final year, whatever. Then I went to the market, got chicken, and there's some ingredients which you didn't have at home, like cream and
Right.
dahi and all that, and made a chicken curry with it for my mom, brother, and me, and they quite liked it.
That was at least you had a very nice experience, not unlike
Um,
me.
hmm.
So
Okay, I
And
might have to step out for a moment because my kitten's trying to come in. If he
no
doesn't,
worries.
he's very good at this. Let me show you. So
Yeah.
can I see? Yeah, he will
I
push
can,
the
I
door.
can.
Yeah, he will
Wow,
push the window open. And
that's
so
amazing.
when we moved into our new house,
Huh,
we our kitchen we made a sliding door, but we never put a latch or a lock inside.
right,
And he was not there. Then he came into our life last year, almost 11 months back, and then
right.
he moved into our house. And now there's sometimes when I want him to be outside the kitchen, especially for cooking mach or
Huh,
chingri and all that,
correct.
because he'll come in. So he might be outside the door, and then I'm cooking because I've shut the door, and then maybe I'm marinating or something, and suddenly, and then he's beside me looking
Oh my
intently.
God.
How did you come in? So here I am pushes door. Okay.
Amazing.
Anyway, enough of
Yes.
kittens, and let's get back to Joy. So, tell me a bit like school, and then what happened because I was like you were a communication coach. So, tell
Yes,
me a
yes.
bit about your working career after
So,
school, and what did you specialize in college, and what did
right,
you do?
right. So, like I said, we after coming back to Calcutta in '95,
Hmm.
so we went back to Calcutta in '95, and that's when we started living there. And I completed my school from St. Thomas's, Kidirpur,
Khidirpur,
and
yes,
yes,
yes.
and after that I did my graduation in English literature from Berkeley Memorial College,
Ah,
and
that's also
you
that's
know
a girls'
how,
college.
yes, yes,
Gokhale.
and
I
how,
tried to get English literature in college, but the
okay,
colleges of my choice, I didn't get that.
huh,
And where I got literature, I didn't get my college of my choice. So finally, I went with college. So I did
right,
sociology in presidency, which in retrospect turned out to be a good thing because I think
correct, correct.
it sort of what I did later as
That
well
was
as
my
writing.
second choice. That was
Ah,
my sociology was my second choice.
yeah, but in our time, it was very new. Like in
Correct,
presidency, I don't think any of the batches had passed out also yet. So,
right,
so my aunt really pushed me, like my youngest aunt, Chotomashi, and
right,
she was in Delhi, and she was many of her friends had done
okay,
sociology from JNU D school or whatever. So she checked with them, and my dadu, who's now no more, but he was
oh,
very exposed to all of that when he was working in Delhi. So he also encouraged me, and then we went for it. But Gokhale and was is a very good girls' college. Is it near
yeah.
Bhawanipur or Gokhale or Elgin?
It's exactly opposite to PG Hospital,
Yeah. So
Ravindra
tell me
Chaudhary.
about some of your college food memories. Did you guys go for
Oh,
momos, near Elgin Road?
yes, we used to go to Elgin. We used to
Huh.
go to we used to go to Exide Mode
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the momos there.
Yes,
And
yes.
as college goers, so I'm talking about 2003 to 2006.
Yes.
That time, like the pocket money was very frugal. So, but I was the richest amongst my friends because I used to give a lot of tuitions to young kids in my area. So that at that point of time, I used to earn, I think, which was a huge amount, which was almost around 5,000. So
Wow.
yeah, so
That
that
was
was like
my
lot.
first salary when I started working. Yeah, in Asian Age. Oh, was it less? Asian Age 3,000, I think. Not
Right. So, I was like, my friends used to look up to me because I was the richest. So I used to take them to Exide, and then just near Exide metro station, if you remember, there is one small, dingy place called Saima. So,
I
they had, it's a very small place. You may, people who do not know that area may
might
just
not have been
overlook.
there in my time because I remember the
Yeah,
Holdiram near
it was
Exide
very
also.
small. It was very
Uh,
small. Like especially like the outlet of the metro, wherein you just
yeah.
have the escalator, not the
Yes,
stairs.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So you come out and there is this small place called Saima, which used to sell amazing biryani. And
Ah.
there was this chicken liver curry, which used to be like amazing.
Ooh.
So
So, yeah, and Ravindra Shadan was a favorite metro station when we were in college because
absolutely.
that is where you would get off to go to Nandon, right?
Non-don also see, like I said, my interest always lay in food. So anyone asking me
so,
to
so
go
the
for a movie, I
Benfish,
would.
was the Benfish
So
stall still there outside Nandon?
Benfish was unfortunately not there, but Exide was, like it had a mix of all kinds of food. Like in
No,
Haldiram, you
I'm
got
saying
all the,
when I was in college,
huh, hmm,
Holdiram, of course, the dhoklas
correct,
and the kachoris. And when I was in college and the
hmm,
Nandon, that seating area, there used to
Right.
be a Benfish truck, and we used to
Ben
go for the
fish, right, right.
fish butterfly,
Fish. Correct,
which is a
correct.
lot of batter. And,
Absolutely. And very
but
less.
I must tell you, I was in
Huh.
college perhaps maybe 8 to 10 years before you, and
Huh.
it was still very frugal then.
Huh.
And in most cases, the girls had more money than us boys. But I remember once one of the boys in our class told us about this new thing around Excite, and a few of us went, and we were all boys in that group that day. And a
Right,
rainy sort of evening after college, and we went to one of those houses near Excite where these Tibetans had set up various
right,
restaurants, and we went into one, and it was raining or whatever, and we ordered momos. Now I'd come across momos in '84 in Darjeeling, but I don't know if I had really had it. So this guy, I think Shubrashil, he was the one who ordered it. I'm
right,
guessing. I mean, we all paid, and then the pork momos, and then the best thing about that was that there was a bowl of pork stock soup which
right.
came with it. Now imagine if you're in college and
Huh.
you're counting every coin, rupee. I'm talking like 10
Absolutely,
years
absolutely.
before your time, and then you have the momos, and then suddenly a hot bowl of soup comes. It is
Which
like
is
it is like
unexpected.
having Kaun Banega Crorepati sort of. So,
Right.
were you cooking at home when you were in college? Did you?
Yes, I was. In fact, like one of my subjects in plus two was home science.
Ah,
But again, yeah,
yeah.
there is
Unfortunately,
again.
a very seen as a very women's
Oh
subject.
my
So,
God, ask
so we
me.
would do SUPW. The boys would do SUPW, and the girls would do home science, I think.
No,
Uh,
for us, SCPW was compulsory.
I
So,
think that's
uh,
changing. Like now, so many boys I know want to get into being a chef and so on. So
correct,
thankfully,
correct,
but earlier, like I don't think in our time it was even an option for boys. Home
absolutely.
science, yes.
No, people look down upon. Like you're talking about, like
Even girls,
when
like
I
they will say that if it's not a good student, you would do home
absolutely,
science. I mean, it's so wrong, but it's
absolutely.
it's good. I'm glad it's changing.
Not only that, like if you took up arts or humanities at that point of time, you're
Don't tell
not
me.
good for. Yeah, I had to hear all that. So
Don't tell me about it. And,
originally,
and,
yeah,
and you're a girl. So,
yeah,
like, till plus two, I did decent in my 10th.
hmm,
So, plus two, I took science. And that was like a googly, that physical mechanics and
hmm,
trigonometry and mechanical physics
right,
and sine theta, cos theta. So, I was like really, really struggling. And then there was one teacher in my school, St. James's, a maths
hmm,
teacher. So he told my mom that no, okay, just let him. 12 is easier. And my dadu said that okay, after 12 you do whatever makes you happy. So he told
right,
my mom also we can't see him. So this thing. So I knew I didn't want to do commerce. So after 12th, I didn't even sit for the IITs and whatever. I just cleared it and went straight for arts. But again, even in
hmm,
arts, and I'm talking of like early 90s, if you're a boy and doing arts, then the only thing which was still this thing was to an English was to do English and then maybe an IS or be a professor in
right,
Presbyterian or CU. And then
right.
I got into sociology. But yes, not done too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So like as you said, right? People were actually still looked down upon, even
Hmm.
till date. I think that's how Calcutta culture is. Like
Yes.
a child has to be either an engineer or a doctor.
And yet we
So
prize ourselves on being intellectuals and
absolutely,
artils and philosophers, and
unfortunately,
we revere Robi Thakur or
right.
things like that, or Shotet Rai, but we want our
Correct.
children to be in a joint, cross the joint.
Oh my God.
Well, I've got nothing against that, but
No, but I
not
think the
everyone.
perception should change. I mean, like the
Yes.
world is changing. I mean, so many
So what
avenues
what
are
yeah, so
opening.
you have a daughter who's 7.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
she doesn't grow up to do engineering, will you be very upset?
No, 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 no. Like, in fact,
We
I have
we'll
a,
we'll record this, huh? So when she's in
yeah,
college,
please. Yeah,
if you give her
of
a tough
course.
time, we'll show it to her.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, I'll give you a proof also. In fact, my husband is a Tambram. So you know how important
Oh, Baba, they are the
academic.
maths
Yes.
poka. We had a
Huh,
Tamram in our class. He
correct.
got 1600 in his SAT and then went to
Huh,
Caltech, Nasimachari. He's still there. I've written about him and his mom in my book and the dosa she fed us,
see.
near lake. But they were
See,
the
my
maths
husband,
poka.
he's a mechanical engineer, so he never scored. I mean, he never scored anything less than 100 in maths. So I mean, by qualification, he's a mechanical engineer, but now he's working in the women's industry. He's working in jewelry industry. So he's into operations, merchandising, quality, and everything. But thankfully, he has a different perception. Like he says that whatever Anshika is our daughter's name. So he's like, whatever she wants to do, let her. Even if she wants to be a carpenter, let her do it in the best possible manner. I mean,
Yes, and nowadays people are doing such wonderful design in woodwork and carpentry,
yeah,
and there's so much interest whenever one puts up pictures. Where did you get this from? So we have a young friend downstairs, Gia, and she's in
hmm,
college first year, and they've now made a little, not a little, I mean a section for her in the house, which is like her own room, and
yeah,
they partitioned it out and whatever. And there was so much excitement about like her choosing her bed and the table
wow,
and this, and then she was ordering, I think the bed or the table from some website, and then it ran out over there. So she found out who in Delhi manufactures it, and
wow.
then got her dad to call that person, and then get that very table, and then the So there's so much yeah, but let's not
So
talk about furniture. Let's talk about
yeah,
cooking. So
so
so were you cooking in college? And who
I
taught you
was.
cooking? Your initial cooking, who taught
So
you?
not exactly like if you ask me, not exactly. I was not handheld into cooking, but like I said, I had taken up home science. So initially, I took up home science because I wanted to avoid history. So we had a choice between these two. And in fact, I was so honest. I told this to my home science teacher. Like she asked, each of us that
Why did you?
I'm sure all of you know cooking, and that's why you're taken up that. I said no, I didn't want to take history. And so she was like, she was smiling, but of course she was upset. So, but
Not.
honestly, I did not know anything by then. I couldn't say that I
Hmm.
know how to cook. But yes, slowly, as we started doing the practicals, in fact, like while we were doing learning various dishes, um, I mean, every week we used to have these practicals wherein our teacher used to show, and then again we had to replicate it next day. So it started with a bad start, but then yes, I started from there.
And what about Thakuma? Did you get an opportunity to learn from her?
Learn as in like I have always loved eating her food, and I have been fed in the best possible manner. Like how a Bengali course starts, like course by course. So she
Ah,
started off with me like that. So I used to start with the quintessential uche bhaja or a teto, and then move on to
bitter.
something,
Yeah.
ha,
Yeah.
and then fish, and then end with a sweet something. So she made it a practice that I know what every course is. And like I said, I was never given a choice to say no, that I will not eat this. So even if I don't like something, I had to eat it.
You would be
But
like a dream child of so many parents.
oh my God, I told you, like I was put like an exemplary kid in functions and occasions. Be like her. So yeah. So learning from her, I don't know, like I never stood in the kitchen, learned anything, but I used to observe. She used to make rotis and all. And there was a custom, she used to say that every roti has to be round in the house, otherwise these people will not eat. So I never
Hmm.
understood that. I mean, round and hot it had to be. So yeah, and she told me that making perfect rotis is an art, but
True.
yeah. So these were very little things, and then I saw my mother's cooking again. She's an amazing cook,
Oh, mom's
and
also an amazing cook.
and
Yes.
she's her origin is from Dhaka. So
Oh, okay.
so my
So
Dida is from
my
Dhaka,
Didima, my mom, they were all born in Dhaka. My dadu, I
right?
think, was born in Bengal, West Bengal. My dad was
Okay,
born in Bodishal.
okay. So
So
my
it's a
mom's side
Bengal
is
side. Okay.
completely, yes. My mom is a Bengal, and then my dad's side is Koti. So
So
like
you're a
that way,
Bati.
yes.
You're a Bati.
Bati. Yeah. And then, so because of that, I had the opportunity to taste every kind of food. Like
Oh,
we
lovely.
had hilsa coming in, we had prawns, and then like especially this kosha bata and all, which my mother got
With the
in
skin, the loud
with the
skin.
skin. And like how ghotis kind of make a face. Oh my God, they eat everything. But that's how these people were, because
Tell the
we
Ghotis that now you will have, I mean, all the famous chefs, Marco Pierre
absolutely,
White and Gordon Ramsay, they'll all say head to tail, nose to tail,
absolutely, absolutely
the chef from Noma. So then you'll say, who's your daddy now?
correct.
Okay, I
So,
want to make
huh,
one point, especially to our viewers who are non-Bengali, who are probably fed up by now by all this Bengali talk. Now, when you were in college or even when growing up, Was it only about Bengali food, or would you try out food from like Conti, Chinese, Punjabi, Tibetan, the average things? So is it only about Bengali, or would you guys try out everything?
No, we tried once I started moving out, as in like moving out on my own. Like in
Yes,
college, we
yes,
started,
yes,
yeah. At home,
yeah,
we never had the culture of
yeah,
ordering in. We
yeah,
never
yeah,
had anything.
yeah. Hmm.
And at the most, you know what, we used to order in a roll or a Mughlai porota. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember your mention of Bindu Shri, that hotel
yeah.
which
Yes,
closed
we were
down.
talking about industry. You told me
Yes.
it's closed down now. That's so sad. I
Yes,
would
it
have
is
loved to
closed
go
down,
back.
unfortunately. But
I would
you know
love to
that
go back.
they had the best of Mughlai porota, which I
Yes,
used
I
to love
remember
the
having Mughlai
torkali.
paratha
Oh my god,
as a
that
kid. I
aloo
remember
torkali
having.
was amazing. So that
Yes.
was the only culture of ordering in these two kind of food. But when I moved to college and then my university was CU, so I was in that proper North
Ah,
Calcutta, yeah,
acha. So you're
College
not in the
Street.
Alipur complex.
No, no, I
You're
was
a
in
college
North
street.
Calcutta. So I had the best of everything there. So there was
Wow.
Paramount, Shorbot, Putiram, and like all those places. So again, those pocket pinch was not much there,
True.
and and
No,
and at that
I,
point,
I think it's the same for me. That college is when I got
right?
to explore more stuff. I must say this thing, that for us, South Calcuttans, College Street is North Cal. But
Uh,
then when I was in college, I came across people who lived in that area,
right.
Bowbazar, College Street, and all that. They will say, no, no, this is central. North is
Ha,
Shambazar and beyond.
correct, correct. I have a very close friend who stays in Shambhajar. She says, no, no, no. This is like kind of, I mean,
Even
not even
Shambazar is
north.
not North.
Ha, that's what she used to say. So,
Okay, since you're a literature student, I just wanted to ask you something that when growing up or in college or even now, are there any favorite food memories or associations which you have with books? Like, for example, for me, when growing up, like the vivid descriptions in Enid Blyton books,
hmm,
after when I was in college and after high school and all that, James Bond books would have great descriptions of food, and PG Woodhouse, of course. So,
right.
do you have any
Uh,
food associations with any books?
like the earliest memories of a book that actually kind of I would say that again increased my love of food was Shukumar Rai's Khai Khai. So that was one book that my
Khai Khai
grandmother
Koro
used to,
Kano.
yes,
Tell
she
us a
used
bit.
to read out.
I Khai
She
Khai Koro Kano. Do you
for
remember?
kind of Esho Bosho Ahare,
এসে
Khawabo
বসো
Ajob
আহারে
Khawa Bhoj Pai Jahare. So that was one book.
that is like a home chef's motto. Do you want to translate that to
Abs-
people?
so
Khai
it
khai kar.
basically, it means that Khai Khai Korokano Esho Bosho Ahare means like, why are you talking about food? Just come and sit. Khawabo Ajob Khawa Bhoj Pai Jahare. So I'll serve you something which is like a grand feast. So that's what
Yes.
like a Bengali household or a Bengali
Yes.
Sunday meal or a festive meal is all about,
And
right?
ajob also means like wondrous, right? Like things
Wondrous,
which
right?
you can't even think of.
Correct, correct,
It's almost like Shukumar Rai had, who's Shotet Rai's grandfather, right? Shukumar
right,
Rai,
right.
and a very very talented person, writer, scripter, educationist, and it's almost like he'd sort of made a prophecy about what the home chefs would be doing. Yes,
Correct.
then that's so
So
lovely. What else?
and
Any other?
later, like during my literature days, I don't remember much. But when I grew up, of course, I had your book, which I have mentioned earlier, also the Traveling Belly. That was one book which I just took up, and I didn't have the time or the inclination to keep it down until I finished. It's so picturesque. So that is one book I actually love rereading. And I don't part away with that. So if somebody wants, I say you read and give it back. I write my name also in that. So yeah, that is what these were the like memorable stuffs that I can talk about. And then
Hmm.
of course, like later on, I started reading. I still haven't finished Root Food and all by Lee Samti and all these books.
Yes.
So
No, Root Food was one of the first one by Mr.
the
Sandeep.
first, yes,
I think that was a collection of his articles, and I bought it in fact in Oxford Book Center in Calcutta Park Street.
right,
Kenna's gifted to me during one of her trips, and for me, that was my eye opener to a lot of Indian food because I just
absolutely,
started blogging then, and since I didn't read the HT, and at that time it was more print, so one hadn't come across those things. It was a very nice
right.
collection of
It
stories
is
into different parts of Indian food. Now tell me,
Yeah.
college, and then what was the initial career path you took? And
So
you
I
didn't think of
finished.
food at all, did you, at that
No,
time?
even then, even though I was doing these special meals at home, like whenever I felt like I went to the kitchen, like I said, my mother is an amazing cook. So in our
Hmm.
house, like she cooks and we eat. That's it. So I was just at times experimenting, and things were getting little better.
Hmm.
And then I completed my masters from CU again in English
English.
literature. Yeah, it followed. It all fell into place, and then after that, my dad wanted me to appear for net and all that to
To be a
start
teacher.
teaching.
Net is to be a
But then
teacher.
I didn't want to become a conventional teacher. So I said, let me. And at that point of time, like when I completed my master's, it was 2008. So something called the communication trainer or soft skills trainer was coming into the
Hmm.
picture. So we were
Hmm.
slowly getting used to that term. It was very
2008, huh?
new.
2007 is when I started writing my blog. So yeah, that was the time when
Yes.
things were changing. Yes.
Yes. So 2008, even like when I went for my first interview, I didn't even know, like somebody said soft skills and all. I read up all that and I went. And then
Uh,
slowly, even like people were not welcoming to that as a profession. Like you said, I started off
hmm.
with a very petty salary, but I was very happy because I didn't become the quintessential that teacher thing. But at the same time, I kind of fulfilled my dad's aspiration of
Being
teaching.
a teacher.
So
So
yes.
soft skill is what? Like what sort of
So
industry were you
basically,
in, and what did you teach them?
so
What sort
soft
of
skills is
company were you in?
basically where so it could be grooming, it could be overall personality development, like things like leadership skills, time management, communication skills, interpersonal skills. So these were some of the modules that I
And
was
and
dealing
and
with.
you were part of a company, or were you in
Yes,
an
yes.
agency which taught
No,
people
no,
soft
no.
skills?
I was part of a company. Again,
Huh.
I was working in a company which was, right in right on Mirza Ghalib Street. So you know that place.
Ah,
It
yes,
it has
yes.
a confluence of food,
Remind me again,
culture.
Mirza Ghalib is which
Mirza
part?
Ghalib Street.
No,
It's exactly that. Uh, Earlier, Music World. You remember Music World Fleury?
Park Street. So where,
Yes, Park Street. So
which
it's like
then
a
goes on to
4 point. The one which
which the,
goes towards New Market. That
yes,
Tung
yes,
Fung.
yes,
Tung
yes.
Fung.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I actually wrote one blog post about that once when I'd gone to Park Street
Right.
and I was by myself. I'd gone on a work trip to do focus groups, and one day I just went and so what I did was, and I think we are talking of the same place. So I went and I had breakfast at Flurry's, and I was reading a book, and then I walked down that lane, so Tung Fung and down, and took a lot of pictures of people making the chow mein or the
Right.
the bhate things. There's people, office people were coming,
Correct.
fruity and stuff. And then I went down to Kalman and I bought some meats. And then there was a gentleman standing behind me, and he was patiently waiting. I was asking the people about the meats, the story, this, that. And those days I had to carry a DSLR. So I told this
Oh,
gentleman, do you mind taking my photograph? So he said, yeah, yeah. And then he took a very nice shot, very angle. Do you know who he was? I realized later. He was Mr. Anjan Dotto, the singer,
oh my God.
musician, filmmaker. And I've not been in Bengal that much. So of course,
Uh,
I knew him in college, but it didn't strike me. And he was standing so humbly.
of
So
course.
after I finished, then the person said, Acha, Anjan da apni ki navin. So then it dropped. So I said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize you, but and I made you wait, and I gave you my camera to this thing." So he was most nice. I believe that his wife
Yes.
cooks, right, and she does.
Yes.
I think she does the housewares and all that. If I'm
Yes,
not
she
wrong.
does Burmese cuisine. Yeah,
It's
Burmese.
Chanda Dutt is
Chanda,
her.
Chanda Dutta.
Yeah, I've
Yes.
heard of her
She's,
and her work.
yes.
Not had the
She cooks
fortune of
amazing,
meeting her
I've
or
heard.
trying her food. But yeah. So anyway, so we
Right.
went to Kalman, and
Yeah,
then there was Kosturi, which is the place for the Dhakai
correct.
food. Though my Konishko says it's not very Dhakai. And then I went there and I ordered, and I had the kochu pata chingli, which is very famous
Correct.
there.
Correct.
Then I had some mangsho, had some rice, and so that's basically Mirza Ghalib, right?
Right.
If I'm
Yes.
right,
So my
okay.
office was bang opposite to Tung Fung, and so again, a lot of food. I used to go down and to eat. So
I
even
remember we used to go
even
to the buffet in Tung Fung. Sorry to interject again.
yes, No, no.
with mom, brother, and
Ha.
Kainaz when we'd go to this thing. And at that time, mom didn't have that much food restrictions. And
Hmm.
the best part of Tung Fung was, and we used to come and tell that to my mom-in-law also. My mom-in-law, dad-in-law was there then, that there would be prawns in the buffet. Now in
Correct.
Mumbai, you can't imagine that there would be prawns in the
Prawn.
buffet because buffet means you're taking as much and it's unlimited.
Exactly.
So in
Exactly.
Mumbai, prawns at least back then no buffet would have because it's very even in five-star hotels. So
Right.
prawns would be so when you come back, my mom would enjoy, and when you come back and I tell my parents-in-law, and they both love prawns, and dad-in-laws now no more.
Right.
And this thing, like they would be like, it's like telling them about this, this you said ajo khawar
Correct.
experience. So yes, so then what
So
happened?
so I started working there, and I worked for. I did training for Titan, Tanish, and other CMS Infosystem, lot many companies, and then I moved on to Tech Mahindra, and
Hmm.
I worked there for a year again, year and a half or so, and post that I worked as a consultant for PricewaterhouseCoopers in Sector 5,
But
again as a
same soft
communication.
skills, soft
Yeah,
communication.
I was working throughout, and then
Huh.
I mean, since I was expecting, I quit, and then once my daughter was born, we moved to Mumbai. Even in Mumbai, after taking a break as she was growing up, we were alone. I started working for ITM Business School, which is exactly in Kharghar, and so
Huh.
in Mumbai, getting a job which is 10 minutes from your house is like a dream job. So
Yes.
I didn't want to miss that. So there also I taught. In fact, I taught almost for what 3.5 to 4 years. I worked there
Hmm.
as a faculty who was teaching soft skills to these. I mean, who used to come for the PGDM.
Hmm.
So that happened, and I was doing pretty well in my job. I was really settled, and it was amazing. Everything was going good. When my husband dropped a bomb that we have to move to Chennai because he changed his company, he got a better offer, and then hearing Chennai for the first time, of course, it was a really bad feeling because Mumbai to Chennai is like unbelievable shift. So it's like you can
Hmm.
move from Chennai to Mumbai, but the other way around, I never could think. Yes. So,
That's very interesting, actually, because we always have these conceptions about places. Like
hmm.
I was very excited about coming to Mumbai from Calcutta, but I know what you mean. But I'm sure once you went there, then did the perceptions change once you started living in
Yes, it
Chennai?
did slowly. Like it took a lot of time. First 6 to 7 months was like that kind of real teething issues. I was not able to adjust. And then at the same time, I was looking in for a job. I was getting a transfer straight from my previous job, but the job location was really far. So,
Hmm.
there was a concern keeping my daughter and a lot of things. So then I decided that I cannot apply for a job until and unless, everything falls into place, which is
Hmm.
which is really feasible for me, but that
Hmm.
never happens. So then I waited, and then like while I was in Khargar, Ria and Purush, they have been they used to be my neighbors, so which
Okay,
I
you knew them from then. Okay.
yes. So we connected through Instagram again, common shops. So
Hmm.
we had posted a picture, and then that's how we came to know that she is my neighbor. And so they have been home. They have, I've had the privilege to call them home. Even Bernica came home. They have eaten. So from then, I used to, I had discussed
You've
with them that
invited me also. It's just that I can't
I
do
wish
my
like
trips.
five
Yeah, my
years
trip
I
was
stayed.
my trip was very
I know.
short in Chennai. Yeah.
So correct. So then,
Hmm.
uh, I used to discuss with them that do you think I should start something with regards to food? That is where the discussion started with them. And
Hmm.
so Vanika said, so when they said, your food is good, so that is how I got that kick. Kind of, I thought like maybe I can consider once I relocate. So while I was relocating, this platform called Authentic Cook.
Authentic cook,
So
yes.
I had connected with them while being in Kharghar, but unfortunately they were not, catering to Navi Mumbai at that point of time. So
Hmm.
the moment I knew I was shifting to Chennai, I immediately got in touch with them. So I called up Anish, I told him that I'm shifting, and then he said, yeah, like we do things in Chennai. So why don't you just tell us where you are going to stay?
Yeah, but
And that
Chennai is
is
a
how
big
I
place. Yeah.
empaneled. Yes, I empaneled with them, and that happened in June 2019. Okay,
Hmm.
so and that happened. And then so there was a lot of I had to wait for the first meal, meal booking. So that wait was quite long. But what changed my life was again in September 2019. So I was already, having this terrible teething issues, being in Chennai, no job,
Hmm.
nothing. I was getting
And this was also not
frustrated.
happening. The
Absolutely, this is also not
authentic was.
happening. So
Hmm.
I remember Vernika telling me the first thing that you should do when you're in Chennai, start your Instagram page. Just start.
Hmm.
So I started. That's how my Instagram page started. Initially, it was only my private account, which is still there.
Hmm.
And then she said, like, while you're making a meal, even if you're making a simple dal chawal or anything, you just start.
And
So
Varnika is Varnika Aval, who is on
yes, Vernika
Instagram
was
as
right.
Delectable Reveries, and she's the one who
Yes,
pushed Marina Balakrishnan, also that Sarasari girl, to
yes,
put her
yes.
stuff on Instagram. She often says,
Okay.
and
Like,
she's also quite
really, I keep telling her that, you're
how
one
lovely,
person I
how lovely.
always look up to. So,
And she's probably
uh,
younger to you, right? So, but
of
it's
course, she's like,
but
she's of my sister's age.
yeah, but
I tell her,
she gave you the
yes,
gyan,
she did. Yes. And I
the
keep telling her,
direction.
like any issues, I always, I'm like a crybaby, perennial crybaby. I go to her. I said,
So
what
what
should I
happened
do?
in September?
So then September, I just randomly I just came across this thing on Facebook. I think by the FBI, Home Chef
Yeah.
Matters. Yeah,
Yes.
and I still remember the event was on a Saturday, and
In
I got in
Bombay.
touch with Sameer Malkani of
Yes.
the
Sure.
FBI on Wednesday, and he said, you're a very very late entry. I cannot tell you whether we'll be
Hmm.
accommodating you. I said, please see if this can be done. And by then my Instagram page was already there, which started off as Tales of a Glutton, because, like, of course the name justifies. So
We are, aren't
yeah.
we all? Aren't we all? Yes.
So it was already there, but nothing. Again, the page was there. Authentic Cook was still there. Nothing was really happening. And then, so I said, like, I took that thing. So Sameer told me that if at all I can accommodate you, you'll have to decide immediately. You'll have to plan your tickets and everything. I said, yeah, yeah, like I am okay. So the moment I got a nod, I immediately booked, and I went there, and I think that has been the biggest turning point in my life, because that is how I got to meet all of you. Not I
Yeah,
met you, I
I must
remember.
interject at this point. So what happened at the Home Chef Matters? In fact, I was also speaking over there, and they have this tradition where they invite certain home chefs after they do their scrutiny of the creds and all of that, and then those people are given an opportunity to cook their dishes in the hotel. So that time it was St. Regis. In the past, this happened at Taj Lands. And so cook their own stuff and then put it up there. And that becomes a lunch for the delegates. So it's not like a fair or something like that. It's not tickets or whatever, but it's there. And that's what you eat. And the hotel also puts in some of their stuff. And it's a tough call because, when I'm there, yeah. I remember there were 68 home chefs and each of them had done two dishes each. And the year Joy was there at St. Regis, it was like this thing. And first of all, there were many known names whose food I've eaten. So you want to have that. I remember Jasleen had made her lovely tabak mas, which is what I had for lunch today,
Right.
Kashmiri food. Then Sherry
Bimba
Malhotra had
Naik.
done the
Yeah,
chapli kebab, which was just
correct.
amazing. Then Manzilat was there. Doma Wang was there. Then Alifia was there doing East Indian. Actually, Joy was quite the newcomer then, like compared, like many of the other names were very established names. So
Absolutely.
my wife, Kanaz, joined me at lunchtime. She doesn't often come to food events, but she happened to be around, so she came with me. She was in the mall, then she came. So she's always interested in Bengali food. So we went to Joy's counter, and she done dhoka, which I don't really remember too much, but she done shukto. I love shukto. So I had it and I really enjoyed it. Kanaz normally doesn't have shukto. Even when you call it from other places like Bajori or Calcutta, whatever, I like it P2. She doesn't have it. But I said, you try it. And she had it. And I remember her going up to Joy and saying that, this is one of the nicest shuktos I've had. And this is one of the nicest dishes I've had. And she was like really enamored. So that's when I remember like interacting with you and your food. So
Right. like you rightly said, I was a complete newcomer. I was no
Yeah,
one,
compared to most of the other people there, I think most of
absolutely.
the others were fairly well-known names by then.
They were
Uh,
they were doing something for, many years.
hmm,
So, and I think like I'm like again. So if I have a list of thank yous to give, again Samir and Saloni would be again part of
yes,
it,
yeah.
because
And they've been
that
doing this home
one,
chef thing for so long. It's really
absolutely.
lovely that, yeah,
Absolutely.
home
And
chef matters.
meeting so many people, you get to network. Like you see, so for us, we see all of you on TV or anything, like, like
Yeah,
meeting
and we
so
take that
many.
for granted because in Mumbai we all,
Absolutely.
we all get to meet, and we
Like
take
for
that for granted,
us,
sir. Yeah.
so for me, that was the turning point. In fact, after coming back from that event, I had something behind my name to say that, I have started this,
And you won an
because
award also over there, right?
yes, which came in 2020. So
Hmm.
that was the first stepping stone towards me taking up food really seriously, and that helped me, get in touch with all the food groups. So first it was through Facebook, and that is how, again, while we were discussing, so Yogita Uchil, who is a very
Yeah.
who's a very renowned blogger influencer in Chennai, she connected with me, and
And Yogita
she,
and I often talk, and she
right,
praises you, and she also generally says that she tries to promote the home chefs and all a lot
yes,
over there.
she
So,
does a
sorry,
lot.
Joyadrita, I'm just going to tell you
Yes,
that we got so caught up
yes,
on Calcutta that
correct.
I've got about 10, 15 minutes to wind up the
Sure,
story
sure,
so that
sure.
it fits up in time. So tell
Yes,
me, from meeting Yogita to this thing, that what happened and what got you into this path.
right.
So you met Yogita and
So
then,
yes, she connected. So she was the one who started, who introduced me to these food WhatsApp group,
all
wherein we
right.
have the restaurant owners, the hotel owners, chefs, everyone who are part of these, and there are home chefs as well. So that is how. So when Yogita was the one who got me in touch with Chef Reggie Matthew of
Matthews.
Kapachaka, yes,
He is
Kapachaka
so well
Kandali.
regarded the
He
work which
is
he's
like
doing. He's
I
like the
look up to
guru
him.
of, yes,
Yes,
many
I look
people.
up to him. Like, for any new start or anything that I have to start, I go back to these people and I ask them. So, yeah, so he was kind enough, and I would say it was a huge risk also for him to, introduce me in his kitchen stories. So he has this kitchen stories by Chef Reggie, wherein he promotes home chef, these regional stories he does.
Wow.
So I was the
Wow.
first one to start in his kitchen,
Wow.
and that is how, so his studio can accommodate 20 people. So he had these niche crowd whom he
Wow.
knows, friends. So Yogita's friends. Then I met Chef Sri Bala as well. So they are also
Oh,
friends.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. She
So
was
all these
also,
people helped me, start. That was a big impetus. And once that started, I did my first pop up there, which was
hmm.
during Durga Puja, which I did it in 2019
And was the
October.
audience Bengalis or
It was a
cosmopolitan generally?
mix, and I did have a lot of Bengalis who were, like who are settled in Chennai for more than 40, 45 years.
Wow.
So they are really veterans in their own kitchen. So
Hmm.
when they approved of a shukto or anything that, or a kosha mamsha that I had cooked, so I knew that I had done a decent job.
And how did the non-Bengalis react? Because like Chennai is
Oh,
so far off, and they hardly get any exposure to Bengali food. I'm sure it's
correct,
pretty
correct.
unknown in Chennai if you're not Bengali, what Bengali food
Absolutely.
is about. So how did they react to it? What was
So
the
they were
response?
really like surprisingly, initially I had heard that people from South are not welcome to Bengali taste, like the mustard and everything.
Hmm.
But I think with the Bengali food that I introduced, that notion has been broken. So, like you rightly said, there is no, there is no availability of proper Bengali food in Chennai. So,
Yes,
my
yes.
own need to have Bengali food outside my own kitchen made me start this, the endeavor which I can call Food of Joy, Flavors of Bengal, which started as a product of lockdown, the first unlockdown.
It's your second baby and a lockdown baby.
Yes, it's a lockdown baby, absolutely. And so the like today, if I talk about my clients or my customers, they are mostly non-Bengalis, and
Oh,
I thank
wow.
and I
And
thank
and are they all vegetarian? Because the association is Tamil Nadu, Chennai,
everything,
everyone's veg.
everything. everything. Like I have a mix of vegetarian and non-vegetarian.
Yeah, so it's
So
not that all Tamilians are vegetarians, right? There's very
no,
high
no, no,
proportion of meat
no.
available over there.
Yes, very
Eating
much.
Tamilians.
Like
I think
very
majority
much.
is that. Majority is that.
Like I do not know majority or not, but there is a good amount of people
Good
who eat
audience, yeah.
meat, and then I have Bengalis also.
And,
So
and I believe in Chennai, you get a good source supply of freshwater fish,
yes, a
right? Because
freshwater fish
I had an
is
Odia
there.
colleague who was
Yes,
sort of transported. क्या कहते हैं? Transported, nahi, something. When you change where your job is, this thing. Anyway, he was
transfer.
sent to Chennai, transferred to Chennai.
Huh.
And he says, Dada, ki bhalo March fisheries, oi, bhalo
But
bhalo
again,
March.
it's more of the
Huh.
seafood that you get.
But
We do
as
get
you can
freshwater.
access it as a for your menus
Yes,
and all. You can.
I do get katla and everything. So
So, sorry to again to interject.
yeah,
Now, you launched it during a very tough period during the lockdown and stuff, and you had no experience in this business. Of course, you worked in the corporate world and soft skills. So, yeah, what were your learnings from your past career which helped you as you set up your new career? I know one thing you did was you changed the brand name. Then you also went into eco-friendly packaging. So, any of the
absolutely.
learnings from the past which came of use today?
Uh, See, as a communication coach, I think the biggest thing that helped was good interpersonal skills. So I think the greatest thing that you can do with your business is you're selling food or you're selling whatever. I think that relationship that you have with your customers, the rapport that you build with them, I think that is very, very important. So today I have my recurring customers coming in every weekend because they get something out of me. I mean, like, I feel more than the food, of course, the food, taste, and everything is there, but the rapport that I have built over the period of time. So, yes. So, my own soft skills, I think, have helped that. And yes, something important that I missed here was while Chef Reggie's this thing happened, before the lockdown happened, I got a lot of opportunities from Authentic Cook to host a lot of meals. So
Wow.
I did
So at one point you thought that nothing is happening, and then
absolutely.
suddenly a flood happened. How lovely. So patience is also very important, right?
Yes, yes, very
Wow.
much. Like I waited, and then I feel what worked wonderfully in my case was grabbing every opportunity that came my way. I did not
Hmm.
let go anything.
Give me an
So
example.
for instance, like suppose while I was getting this bookings from Authentic, so if I used to get a last minute booking, suppose tomorrow there is a meal and I'm getting a call from Anish or a message from him at late as 10:30 or 11, I never said a no. I said no, I don't want to lose this. And these were all travelers that were coming down. So I have
Okay.
hosted, yes, so I have hosted almost 12 tables in Chennai before the
This is
lockdown happened.
pre-COVID. The people coming
Yes,
home. Yeah.
pre-COVID. So,
Hmm.
and mostly these people were foreigners. Like I've just had two
Hmm.
to three locals. Barring that, everybody has been a foreigner who
And how
came
did
for
the
a,
foreigners react to our Bangla khabar?
yeah, they were really happy because, and we used to have something called a cook and dine experience, which Authentic Cook does.
Ah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and so they
I did
cook
that
with
once
you
with a
and
couple of
then you sit down
Australians.
with a meal. So that has been really nice.
Yeah, I remember I remember. I mean, that I did once by myself, not to with Authentico, but there was
Right,
this Australian couple. I took them to car market. We shopped over there, so the market
right.
itself was a shop. Came home, cooked, made them do all the chopping. This thing. They sat to eat and suddenly realized that it was the gentleman's birthday, and the wife
Okay.
was giving a treat.
Oh,
So there happened to be some bottles of wine at home. So I
okay.
took it out and and we
Right.
sort of yeah.
And
You also did a brand change of your page from Glutton. You went to
yes,
Flavors of
yes.
Joy, and so what were you trying to communicate through your name? The name Flavors of Joy. What is the essence of the
So
brand that you're trying to
this
communicate?
name actually just came out of a random discussion that I was having with my husband. I had undertaken that workshop which you had done, building
Huh,
building your own brand as a home chef,
huh,
which I had done. And after that, like how you had suggested, you should people should know because Tales
huh,
of a Glutton just suggests about a person who is eating. So
huh.
it really doesn't uh, show you as an entrepreneur or somebody who is offering something. So that's
And
when we
what are
got
you offering?
thinking.
What are you
Yes,
offering?
yes. So that's when we got thinking. And through a random discussion, this was not even pre-planned, through a random discussion, my husband came in with this name. How about food of joy? So I said, and it is a pun, like food of
Because the
joy.
name is
So it
yeah.
is joyous food, and it is also a food which gives you happiness. So
What has
and
been your experience during this lockdown period? Because there is, or the pandemic. Because first of all, there's so much of fear, anxiety. You wrote about that on your social
yes,
media page, Instagram page, when you did the Poila Boishak menu, and there's so much of fear around us, unhappiness, uncertainty.
right.
At that time, what do you think is the role food can play? Can food really bring joy? What has been your experience, both for yourself and for your guests? What do you feel on
Uh,
this?
so I feel like as you mentioned, yes. So constantly when you're hearing this, these ambulances passing down, and so many things you read and hear
Hmm.
about the
Hmm.
entire this global threat which is looming large. So we all are anxious. Like even if we are, doing our daily work and everything, that underlying fear is there. Like what if
Hmm.
it happens to us or any of our near and dear ones? But at the same time, I feel if I have taken up a work, I need to do that work, right? And right now, I would say my bread and butter is through this, which I do every weekend, and I have earned a lot through this. Like Chennai was a place which I never used to. I'm saying it on a public forum that Chennai was a
Brave
place
of
I
you.
never used to like. I never used to
Huh.
like, and I told many people that I doubt I'll ever like this place. But I somehow
Huh.
I started loving this place because this
So
place has
you you
given me
you
so much.
disliked it, and now you love Chennai. So I guess
Absolutely,
that's what
yes.
Chennai does to you. So
And
yes.
like I have to be indebted to this place for giving me so much. Like today
Hmm.
people, like
I
I
feel that
feel
about
proud.
Bombay. I
I,
feel
I
that
feel
about Bombay.
proud that people know me, even if you go to a food circle, if you talk about me, people will know me. So
Hmm.
it is my food which has given me my identity. So I cannot, no matter what is happening, no matter how bad the situation is, I know somebody is waiting to eat. I have people inquiring about food. So even if I don't personally feel good going out and doing all this elaborate menu, but I thought on Poila Boishak, if I don't do this, there'll be many people who are waiting for this meal, perhaps. There are many
True.
people asking me, why aren't you doing something? So that's how I started doing. And of course, cooking now is absolutely, I can say, therapeutic, and it's like my own place of happiness.
And this is a new experience for you, like cooking for so many
Absolutely.
numbers, right? From
Absolutely.
and I'm assuming that earlier there was one omelet which would hit the ceiling, but now there are many omelets which can hit the ceiling if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
And
So,
husband and your daughter, they are supportive. Like your daughter is
oh
only
my God.
7. Does she want your
So,
attention when you're in the kitchen, or
no, no,
does she
no.
help you? Does she understand? Is she mature?
In fact, she knows that Saturday, Sunday, I'm like totally caught up with all this. In fact, she helps, with every little thing, like be it a packaging, be it getting things closer and assembling things. And my husband is the one who actually started off with that entire eco-friendly
I
packaging.
was going to ask you about that. Tell us a bit about
Yes.
that.
Yes, so I've been just saying my husband, so his name is Ragavendran. So he has been the brainchild. Today if I get so much of appreciation for the packaging that
Yeah,
I
I loved
send
it
out,
when I saw it on
I
Instagram when
told,
you
yes,
the
I
bahar
was so
and the.
excited to send you. I was just hoping every time I just post pictures, I wish
No,
I could
I
send
saw
you
it
out
before
my
you.
food.
I don't know. You sent it to me because I saw it and I messaged you. I like the fact that and all of that is so Bengal. I mean, terracotta, mati
Correct,
bag,
correct,
kala
correct.
pata, which is of course not, but
Yes.
it's so Bengal.
So that was the essence, that was the idea that besides the food that you're sending out, it should speak exactly. Like if I say flavors of Bengal, it should symbolize. Like in Bengal,
Yes,
also when if you are served meal, you'll see that you'll serve in clay pots or in
yes,
kasha thala. So
yes, yes.
of course we are not able to send it out in that.
Kasha's
So
brass, right?
brass,
Kasha's
yes.
brass. Yes.
So we cannot possibly send it out. But when we have guests, even on festive occasions, we serve people on these clay
Business
plates and
idea.
everything.
Maybe you can do a special packaging with thala, put that in your cost, and then
Hmm.
in your costing, and then that
Right.
stays back with the family as a memory. I'll give you this thing. So
Right.
ITC hotels, not the new venture of the
Hmm.
biryani pulao, But when you order biryani from Dampuk, and I love that mutton biryani, Aadi biryani,
Yes.
it comes in a white matka, like a
Okay.
proper this thing. So when the biryani is done and dusted, that matka stays with us. And, sometimes we,
Correct.
so keep a shobuj muk, tarka dal, or yellow
Okay.
dal, or rice and all that. So a piece of the Dampuk remains in a house, and that
Correct.
memory stays with us, and it's used. So you should consider that actually, like like a special
Yes.
thing, and they will keep that, and a piece of Bengal, a piece of joy, a joy Bangla in a good sense, not the conjunctivitis
Correct.
sense, but
Correct. Correct.
joy
In
Bangla in
fact,
a good sense will stay with them.
the same thing we do with these clay pots right now. So
Ah,
along with the clay pots, we also give you a packet of organic seeds that I mean, my husband has himself procured
Raghavendran.
from a proper organic
Hmm.
farm, and we also have a cocoa peat. So all these pots, after you use them, you can wash, dry, and put up a small kitchen garden for yourself. In fact,
Wow.
just to test whether these seeds are effective or not. In fact, I grew each and everything on my in my own
Yeah.
balcony. So yes, so these are the things that we can do, and my customers are really happy. In fact, the same people who receive plastic containers, they are like, this was a welcome change. So
Joy, I want to
all
ask you one
thanks
thing.
to, yeah,
Thanks, Raghavendra. Yeah.
yes.
I want to ask you one thing, that there was this period where you started the business with a lot of enthusiasm, and you registered with Authentic Cook. And unlike later, where there was a bounty of contacts and jobs, in the beginning there was nothing. So, what kept you going? You spoke of some of your friends from the industry, Varnika, young Varnika, then Kurush and Ria, of course, who are probably a bit senior.
Right.
Being so encouraging. What kept you going during this period where nothing was happening? Because so many
Uh,
of us are going through that where nothing is happening. Uh,
Correct, correct. So
what
that
kept
was
you
a
going?
very, it kept, so uh, I used to keep myself busy in the sense that whatever little, how Vanika had suggested, whatever little you cook in your,
Hmm.
just put it up as a beautiful post. Don't
Hmm.
lose touch, don't lose base with the people who are following you. So
Hmm.
something will work out. So it was a
Yes,
period, I had that, I don't know, a hope, I would say, something will work out. So I
how
kept
lovely,
waiting. I didn't
how
want to
lovely.
give up. So I didn't
Hmm.
want to give up. Even during lockdown, like I thought this would be a this would be a small, setback perhaps,
Hmm.
which all of us are facing. People in the hospitality industry, they are badly hit. And again, it is coming back. But at the same
Hmm.
time, we know that there is some hope. Takeaways are still on, and people will not stop eating. So that is one good thing.
That's the only good thing we can do now.
Absolutely. See,
Yes,
that's
you
what
can't get a
my
haircut.
friends
You
in
can't
Chennai.
travel. You can't buy a pair of sneakers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
That's what
mean, I
my
don't do
friends in
online.
Chennai.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said, Yogita got me connected to so many lovely people.
That's. I mean, I love
Today,
it. I
like,
mean, you spoke of Yogita, you spoke of Reggie, you spoke of Arnika,
no,
Kurusia. They must be all hiccoughing because of how
no,
many times you took their
no. Like
name.
I said, my
It's
list of
how
thank yous
lovely.
is
Yeah?
huge, huge.
That's so
Because
wonderful.
I was a no one in this industry. Like I was no one.
Samir Saloni also. So
Samir
nice.
Saloni, like if that last minute entry to home chef did not happen today, perhaps like I wouldn't have known you as well, right? Today
Yeah.
this chat wouldn't have happened. So
Yes.
everything
So
like yeah,
so before we sign off, the idea from these Foodocracy for things is also like for people to take away something, regardless of what your gender is or what you do. So, any of your learnings over the various hurdles which you've overcome and moving into an industry which is completely new to you, a city which is new to you, a place which has no idea about what you are in, which is Bengali food. Any of your learnings which you feel might motivate people who are wondering that whether they should start, not start, anything which you'd like to share?
see, most importantly, what keeps me going, like I said, that passion, like that should never die down at any point of time. If I say that I love doing this should happen till the end of the day. So right from the time I started
Hmm.
till now, there is not a point in uh, in time wherein I feel that I would not want to do it. So I think the passion is important. Of course, your hard work and everything, you have your contacts and everything is there. But if you don't have that will to do it, if you don't feel hopeful, like, see, I know we all are going through a very tough phase. But again, I'm hopeful that things will look up. So I am hopeful for the tables I can still host once again.
Hope springs eternal, as the poet says, and the poets always know it, right? So thank you so much, Joy. It was such an absolute pleasure talking to you. And people who are watching, sorry if we got a bit carried away with the Kolkata school, college, growing up memories, bit of it. But see, that's where the passion comes from. And like Joy says, that if the passion is there, hope is there, and everything follows. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, and stay safe. Keep feeding everyone. Keep smiling. Keep putting up your stories on Instagram, and
Thank
all the best.
Thank you for this opportunity. Like I said, I always secretly aspired, but never had the audacity to ask you. But thank you
You should
so
ask.
much for making me part of this.
You
Thank you.
should
Stay
ask.
safe. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Take care. And our regards to Raghavendra and your daughter.
Thank you. Same to Kenas and your family and everyone there.
Yes.